make this choice now, and we must count the cost. We must count the cost of removing our consent. You see, when I became a Christian, I had to count the cost, because I knew that I would become an apostate, one who deserves a death penalty. You have to count the cost. The founders said that we put everything on the line, including our lives, our honor, and our fortunes, correct? We must now put everything on the line. You see, if we lose our Second Amendment, we lose the ability to defend all of the other unalienable God-given rights. And we will lose the ability to assert the Declaration of Independence as it was meant to be asserted, as a reset button, as a check and balance, that when a government oversteps those boundaries and will not listen to the people, it is our right to deal with that government accordingly. It is only now, before we lose our right to self-defend against tyranny, that we must no longer give consent to the list of usurpations that clearly violate the laws of nature and nature's God, including kicking God out of this country and its very fabric. It is time for a courageous generation to rise up with a dependence on divine providence, and not give our consent to a dictatorial government forming in our land. This is up to you and me now. I want to encourage you. Please don't put your hope in the political parties. No. Don't put your hope in the media telling you the truth. The media may be here today, but I tell you, they are complicit in bringing this nation down now. I challenge them to have the courage to tell the truth the way the truth is supposed to be told. We cannot sit idly by any longer and watch our nation be destroyed. We cannot allow ourselves to be disarmed. Despite all that is going on, and despite the reality of the intentions of this government to come against life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the godly heritage of this nation, I still believe that with God's intervention, restoration is possible in this land. But only if we choose to be a moral and religious people who will choose to place God and His principles and natural laws back at the center of America. Each of us must choose where we will place our dependence. Our founders knew that their dependence on divine providence drove them to birth this nation. We must now choose the same level of commitment to divine providence to fight for our liberties, our families, our heritage, and America. Today, we are putting Washington State on notice. Today, we are putting America on notice. Rise up. Join this courageous generation to take our republic, our state, and our nation back. And today, we are putting those who are bent on standing against freedom, standing against our constitutional republic, our unalienable rights, and our godly heritage. We today must declare that indeed your days are numbered. I want to thank you for the honor that it has been to be before you, and to the honor that it is to stand with the courageous generation that is standing here. This is our hour. The battle is indeed on. Yes. And I believe with God's providence, we will be up for the challenge. Yes. I want to close with this prayer. I pray that we would once again bless God and welcome Him back into the heart of this country and its people, in order that He would bring healing and He would bring our survival and our restoration of a land and of a nation that still carries with it a destiny. It's a destiny to be a light to the nations. Thank you very much for the time.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm married to a Texan. So we were very strong Second Amendment supporters. And I have to say, we were getting pretty depressed and sad and we're getting ready to leave. But seeing all of you has given me a lot of hope, a lot more than a goofy little poster. So right now, I want to bring up Linda Wilson. She's the head of the Clark County Republican Party and a very strong Second Amendment supporter. Linda.
I'm following Sharon, who just said, do not put your phone in political parties. So, I am here as the newly elected chairman of the Clark County Republican Party. And in the last month, we've done a whole lot of things. And last Wednesday, we decided that we have a resolution that we are submitting to our Central Committee for passage. And we haven't approved it, we're just recommending that our Central Committee approve it. I'd like to read it to you. We're taking a stand. Whereas the Constitution of the United States is a legal document, and whereas the terms in legal document carry consistent definition throughout, and whereas the term "the people" in our Constitution has identical meaning in the preamble, the First Amendment, Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Ninth Amendment, the Tenth Amendment. And whereas the right to keep and bear arms to hunt for subsistence or sport, and the right to keep and bear arms to defend one's life and property are natural rights existing prior to the Constitution and affirmed and guaranteed by the Bill of Rights in its Ninth Amendment. And whereas the individual right to keep and bear arms for the purpose of defending ourselves from any government who might usurp any of our rights is a natural right existing prior to the Constitution and affirmed and guaranteed by the Bill of Rights in its Second Amendment. And whereas the Washington State Constitution states the right of the individual citizen to bear arms in defense of himself or state shall not be impaired. And whereas any infringement or impairment of these rights is an offense to our unalienable right of liberty, and an assault on rights endowed by our Creator, all of which are affirmed and guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Washington. And whereas any holder of public office who would infringe upon these rights violates our Constitution and their oath of office. Therefore be it resolved, the Clark County Republican Party may refuse to support and may condemn and or recruit opposition to any holder of public office and any candidate for public office who the board finds has taken any action to infringe, impair, or usurp our natural and constitutional right to keep and bear arms regardless of their party affiliation. So we did send this out too as a press release, and it's getting around. I just wanted you guys to know this. I have a statement that I love from Thomas Jefferson. In matters of style, swim with the current. In matters of principle, stand like a rock. If the Second Amendment isn't the rock of the founding of this country, I don't know what is. Thank you. Contact your legislators if you agree with this. We actually have a website, action@clarkrepublicans.com, if you'd like to send us any messages. Thank you.
With this, if you hear in the background, I would like to introduce our next speaker from the Washington Redskins, Glenn Junior.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. And I see a lot of ex-military in the audience. I want to thank you for your service to this country. God bless you. And I want you to know you're looking at a whole army here standing with you. You know, when I heard about the rally, I put a thing on Facebook. It said, "We the people, if we don't start standing civilly, we will be forced forcefully." And somebody sent a message back by one of our presidents that stated, Those who will make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable.
That's right.
God bless you for being here today. And I'd like to start off with a quote from my coach, Joe Gibbs. You know, every time we went into a game, whether it been a Super Bowl or any game, he always told us, get yourself ready for the worst possible predicament possible. That way you'll never be surprised. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you today, get yourself ready. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about, first of all, get your food supply put in your house. Get it stored up. Get a way to defend yourself. Guns, ammo. Get a way to defend yourself. Get your communication in order. And I ain't talking about a cell phone, because when they let off one of those man-made bombs, your cell phone, your cars, everything is gone. Get yourself broadband radio, ham radio. Get your ham radio. Get it in a metal box and get it buried in the ground where it'll be safe. And lastly, but not all, get your medical supplies in place. Get yourself ready for the worst possible predicament you can imagine, that way you'll never be surprised. And in Franklin County, I am here proud to say that we have started and organized our Committee of Safety. You ask me, what is a Committee of Safety? Our first President of the United States, George Washington, was part of a Committee of Safety. Get in your county, get people that you would trust your life with, and start organizing your Committee of Safety. People will say, well, that's a militia. No, it's not. You're there for any catastrophe. Because if you look at what's happened, can you rely on FEMA to show up to help? Hell no. It's a joke. Your Committee of Safety will take care of your neighborhood, and they will be there on guard for all enemies, foreign and domestic. Get it organized, and get it organized today. Time is of the essence. And then let's all look at each other. Look at one another. Look at yourself. Where do you pledge your allegiance? Do you pledge it to the Republican Party? Do you pledge it to the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, or the Independent Party? Do you pledge it to your union? And I ask the union members, look at your union. This is what's tearing down our country. An allegiance to a union. Because of money? Monetary over freedom? Wake up, America. Wake up. We should pledge especially no allegiance to this damn United Nations. Get the United Nations out of the United States. Let's get the United States. Get out of here. We don't want no part of it. John Adams' quote, power. Power always thinks it has a great soul and vast views beyond the comprehension of the weak, and that it's doing God's service when it's violating every one of its commandments. Obama. In our Declaration of Independence, you heard Sharon talk about our inalienable rights. Let's first talk about the pursuit of happiness. Obama passed an Executive Order 13,575, the White House Council on Rural America. He also just passed the Food Safety Bill. These two, along with a lot of others, are a declaration of war on the American farmer. Get your food supply in order. They're coming after us. They're trying to shut us down. They're trying to impose 500-foot buffers on us out there. Well, we won't be able to farm the ground without pesticide, herbicide, and fungicide. We can't farm without it, folks. They're trying to shut down the American farmer. You see, in the UN Accord, the first paragraph states there's too many people in the world. They say that 7 billion is unsustainable. They want it down to 1 billion. And then you got Ted Turner and Jacques Cousteau that wants it down to 350 million. Well, then come on to the front of the line, Ted and Jacques. Let you be the first ones. Let's see you get to the front of the line and lead by example. Liberty. Obama says that all these executive orders on these gun laws, if it would save, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself, but all these, you can keep your shotgun and you can keep your rifle. We're not going after those. Well then, Brock, then why the hell are you keeping Eric Holder as your Attorney General when he has made a statement that the Second Amendment right does not entitle an American to own a gun? Then why in the hell have you got him still as your Attorney General? Life. Barack Obama made the statement that if these executive orders just saves one life, it'll be worth it. Well then, Barack Obama, where was your stance 3 times in Illinois when you voted? When a botched abortion was unable to be completed and a baby is screaming for its life, you take it into another room and you kill it? You hypocritical piece of crap. Barack Obama is not my president. And I got to tell you, throughout my runs for office, I have resorted back to that movie, Braveheart. And if you watch that movie and you follow the lines in that movie, ladies and gentlemen, there is things in there that we need to hear. Robert the Bruce, when he, got to get to my quotes here to make sure I use the right one. But when Robert the Bruce, when he was knighted, and he got up to leave the chamber because the Scottish were bickering with one another over land titles. And he says, "Where you go, William?" And he says, "I'm going to England and to defeat the English on their own soil." And he says, "That's impossible." He says, "Is it?" "Well, you're busy scrabbling over the scraps from Longshank's table. You've missed your God-given right to something much better." And he says, "The difference between you and I is you think the people exist to grant you title. I think your title is there to make sure they have freedom. And I go to England to make sure of it." Ladies and gentlemen, that speaks volumes of the people that are representing you and I today. They are doing nothing but padding their pockets and getting filthy rich on our efforts. And it's got to stop.
Occupy DC! Yeah!
Well, we got to vote them out of office, but I'll tell you what, we need to be looking. DeMint just put a bill before them for term limits. Got voted down again. Yes, it did, because they wanted this. Rubio has it right, ladies and gentlemen. Obama is a coward. He's a coward because he and the rest of those crony politicians won't tell you the truth, their true agenda. It's a one world order. They're working overtime to bankrupt this country.
Treason!
So that we fall into this one world order because we don't have a currency that's sound anymore. So we have to move quickly, get your things in order, your food supply. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be inevitable. You have to have it ready. Has Obama transformed our country from the land of the free and the home of the brave to the land of the constrained and the home of the cowardly? I think not, because I see a whole army of my fellow American citizens here in defiance of tyranny. Will it be us, 3% of the population, that'll save this country again? The ones that bore this nation, 3%. Will it be us, 3% of it again? Well, so be it. Whatever it is, we the people must turn shoulder to shoulder. And we got to fight our way back to the light, to the truth, to the Constitution, and to the Lord God Almighty. That's our only way, folks. I thank you so much for this opportunity today, and I wish this thing was clear, full. I got to tell you right now, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. The only way we're going to wake up the masses is when they get cold and hungry. Get your food supply, get your things in order, get your committee of safety put together, and then get a hold of me. I want a network, a committee of safety in every county, all 39 in the state.
It's a drummer. They're coming after us.
God bless you.
They need to go
Give it up.
fly over the skaters.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'm not a real big fan of politicians. But I'll tell you what, we do have some good ones. We do. We have two that couldn't be here today. One, Kim Roach. She wanted to... Is it okay if I read this real quick? Okay. This is for Pam Roach. I am united with you in the protection of our Second Amendment rights. I have long been committed to this cause. The Senate Law and Justice Committee, on which I serve, is currently the key point of protecting against passage of any restrictive gun control legislation at the state level. And Sherry Appleton has introduced some that you might want to look at. We don't want this. Our nation leader, many in Congress, and especially many in the mainstream media, act as though it's no big deal to respond with our Second Amendment rights. I have to wonder, where is the ambiguity in the statement, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed?
It didn't come through very clear. Huh?
If you're on Facebook, you better friend me. I want
The
some of
gun
that.
control crowd
I'm on
claims
Facebook.
they're seeking reasonable measures for sensible gun control. I'm adding the emphasis, by the way. But sensitive and reasonable is being defined by those who simply want to take away your guns. Yes, bite at a time, same way you would eat an elephant. We all ache. We all ache over the tragedies such as Sandy Hook, Connecticut. The situation has kicked the media into high gear, calling for a ban on so-called assault rifles, high-capacity magazines, semi-automatic handguns, ammunition restrictions, and much more. Blame the gun, blame honest people who own firearms, blame everything and everybody except the person who decides to commit the crime. Federal law already says that with criminal backgrounds, those with criminal backgrounds or have mental defect must not acquire firearms. Rather than wasting time blaming firearms and honest people, we need more attention to the problems of mental health. What is clear is that when we take firearms from honest people, only criminals will have guns, creating an ever-increasingly pool of people who are unable to protect themselves. Meanwhile, the criminals will keep their guns. They're criminals. They don't care about guns.
England.
We hear the cry to do something about gun violence, as if disarming honest people is the answer. But doing something that is fundamentally wrong solves nothing and only creates bigger problems with no going back. We need to stay strong in our resistance, make sure our friends and neighbors understand the sense and nonsense of gun control efforts. Stay strong, keep up the effort, let's stand together against those who would take our Second Amendment rights. And that is from Senator Pam Roach. And my senator, Randy Becker, this is a little short. Thank you all for taking the initiative to gather in support of our right to bear arms. It's not always easy to stand for freedom, but you are doing the right thing. As an A+ rated member of the National Rifle Association, I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. As long as I am in the Senate, you can count on me to stand up for our right to bear arms. Those are just two senators. And I have the honor and pleasure to introduce a representative who's another one of the good guys and has introduced some fantastic bills. One of them is HB 1164. David Taylor's been in the House of Representatives for 3 terms, and he's from the Yakima area, Yakima Sila. Right. And I've just become aware of some of the fantastic efforts he has made. So David, would you please come up and give us your knowledge?
Somebody should have shot it.
Well, thank all of you for being here today.
Yeah, give it to this idiot, Jim Beal. Hey, if you watch
Ladies and
the sky,
gentlemen,
everybody. Got drones taking
it's tough for me to come before
Smile.
There's one right. Maybe that's.
We got a picture of the drone. Moon them.
Did you see it? You didn't see the drone? I got it on camera.
Email it to me. I'll put it on.
Speak up.
each and every one of us out there today.
Not worried. They got it.
Hey, I'm trying.
There we go, a little louder.
Hey, is this better? Yeah. I'll yell.
Good.
We're facing dark times today, but now is the time that we must stand strong and uphold the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah.
We cannot allow the tragedies of Colorado, Connecticut, and Oregon to infringe upon our Second Amendment rights. We cannot use those as excuses to infringe on our rights. No amount of gun laws, gun bans, or gun registrations will stop bad people from doing bad things. Guns do not kill people.
people do. You know, in the Declaration of Independence, our founding fathers declared that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Now, when I talk to my children and explain to them the Constitution, I point out to them that that statement includes two very important things. Number one, a recognition that our rights come from God, not from the government. That's right. The government did not give us those rights, and it cannot take them away.
Let them try.
The second piece includes unalienable. Unalienable is defined to be not to be separated, given away, or taken away. It does not include a qualification unless the government says otherwise. Folks, it is very, very clear. We have the God-given, unalienable rights to keep and bear arms. Now, we have seen actions at the federal level over the last few days that we attempt to weaken our
About 40, 50 feet.
and I can guarantee you that in the coming weeks we're going to see more from the federal level, and we may see some at the state level.
Better not.
We must be ready to stand firm. We must be ready to talk to our friends and neighbors and tell them that the threat is coming, and we must be willing to speak loudly to defend our rights. In the next few days, we will be introducing legislation in this state called the Firearms Freedom Act. And that legislation includes the statement, any federal rule, law, regulation, or order attempting to ban or register firearms or magazines unenforceable in Washington State. Folks, this is our line in the sand. We will not go quietly into the night.
We will not comply.
Join me today in telling the government, you won't tread on me.
That's right. We will not comply.
Again, thank you for being here. Thank you, men and women of the military, armed forces, for defending our Constitution and our country. God bless all of you, and God bless America.
Isn't he great? I just love this guy. I don't like politicians. But we're going to have a quick song. And those of you who are in the military, can you just raise your hand? All right.
Yeah.
Garrett's going to do a song called Where Does America Find Such Men? I have to take exception to this because I did 20 years in the military, so you need to change the lyrics. Let's get to. So Garrett Lloyd King doing Where Does America Find Such Men and Women?
Yes, you betcha. Just real quick, I am a singer-songwriter from here. I've had the opportunity to work with some of Nashville's #1 writers. It's been a blessing, but I can't go any further on that dream until we secure our foundation of our country. So, over here I've got stickers in the Constitution, so if you need something from over there, surprise, huh? So, God bless America, and thank you, veterans, and let's roll, band. Band in a box.
Band in a box. You see it? It's over by the tree. Yeah.
From the bridges of Topher Green.
Somebody shoot that sucker.
Yeah, give me that shotgun.
To the business and all points in the air and on the sea. Here at home we pray about apple tearing, coin and rain.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Wave to him.
Where does America
This is Roger.
find such men?
Don't tempt me.
Ransom of freedom, strive, fight to
Hey,
the very end.
This is
You have a standing order when you're on train. You see one of those taken out. Food right now. Not here. But I like how you think.
And women.
There's a few in our group that's
Based on the beaches at Normandy. Iwo Jima and Newton. Raised our flag so high that day. Good on that
He's
day.
on a beer.
9/11 has come to be our latest day of infamy. Have you forgotten those painful memories? Where does America find such men? When serve freedom's crying, they fight to the very end.
So I think it landed. I don't see it.
Just a simple question I've been asking all my friends. Where does America find such men? You could have heard a pin drop the day those towers fell. And all friends of Flight 93 drove those terrorists straight to hell. The firemen in NYPD, all the search and rescue team. Oh, we thank you so much.
How you doing, Ed?
Where does America find such men? Who answer freedom's cry, they fight to the very end. Just a simple question, have you asked yourself, my friend, where does America find such men?
Where's he at?
Men and women have paid the price with good courage and with their lives. We honor all you heroes willing to sacrifice. Where does America find such men? When serve freedom's cry and they fight to the very end. Just a simple question, got the answer, my friend. Where does America? Here in America, it's right here. In America, we find such it's right here. Here in America. It's right here in America.
Oh, really?
God bless America. We honor you, heroes. Come see the shining sun.
I should have found a way to tape this to my stick. Said I should have taped it to my stick.
God bless America and all you who have served and will serve.
I heard that I was turned around when you did that. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Garrett. Isn't that awesome? Well, our next speaker is Phil Watson, and he is part of the Second Amendment Foundation, and I've known him for a couple years. And he's been on the front lines.
Yeah, there's one guy holding the sign over there.
Yeah, there was one.
One.
great person.
And he's a great guy. And he's going to talk
Is that who's out on the street counter protesting?
I saw one out there.
I seen one over
Okay.
on the backside holding up a
Was
sign.
it a woman?
I just wanted
Yeah,
to
I saw her too. I didn't see her sign
you
though.
guys really surprised us. We knew the turnout was going to be good, but we didn't
Yeah.
think it was going to be this good. This is all over the country right now. Yeah, this is 2,000 people here right now is the supposed official count. Over in Seattle the other day, Mayor Bloomberg and a couple of other undesirables had a couple of hundred people, so I think we beat them.
Yeah!
Well, The thing that I wanted to talk about today was some of the facts about guns in America. Over 2,100 people per day use guns in self-defense in some way, shape, or form in the United States. That far outweighs the misuse of firearms. You also look at
There's a little over 2,000 of us.
one of the things that put this into the media, and the media kind of ran with it, was this mass shooting where this gentleman stole these guns. But well, not very a gentleman. All of these mass shootings are happening with people that are mentally disturbed.
The gun was in the
They
trunk,
also
though.
almost always happen in gun-free zones. Every single one of these mass shootings, which the FBI classifies as a mass shooting since 1950, all but one of them have happened in gun-free zones. And our opponents don't want to acknowledge those facts. They don't want to acknowledge the facts around these incidents. So it's up to us to convey to the media, our friends, our family, the public, the facts around the Second Amendment and the facts around these things. And my grandfather, who was a Democrat, we had some political differences, but he never understood why people wanted to take his guns. World War II, Korea, and Vietnam veteran. He fought for your rights. He's the reason that I went into the military. And it's something that you are allowed because you are an honest, law-abiding citizen, and you are your own defender.
No.
You
We
can't
don't want to
afford
impeach
to
him.
wait for 20 minutes for the police to
He
show
needs
up.
to be deported.
For Mayor Bloomberg to show up. You know, by the way, a lot of the politicians and these guys, they almost always have armed guards or protection, and so you don't have armed guards. You're there. You're on your own, and so you've got to protect yourself. And if you want to know more about some of the stuff that we're doing on a legal level, we're the people that won the most recent Supreme Court victory, McDonald versus Heller, or excuse me, McDonald versus Chicago, for the Second Amendment. Our attorney Alan Gore brought that case. So if you want to know more about that, go to saf.org. And thank you very much. You far exceeded our expectations. Thank you very much. I'd like to give a couple minutes of my speaking time to my friend Kelly Carrender. A lot of you probably already know her. So come on up and say a couple of words for us, Kelly. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. All right, I'm going to be quick. There's just a couple things that I want to point out. There's supposedly some quote-unquote interfaith leaders who are standing up against us, saying that having this celebration and appreciation day on the anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination is somehow grotesque and offensive. And I'd like to remind them of something called the Deacons for Defense. The Deacons for Defense were a group of black men who during the Civil Rights era stood up for themselves, and guess what? They did use guns. And they protected their families against people like the KKK and racist bigots who wanted to murder them. And so to those interfaith leaders, they should look at history. And they should look at the history of our own country, not just places like Nazi Germany. We did disarm innocent people in order to oppress them. This country has done that already. So it could happen again. And I also want to point out my sign says victim-free zone, pro-woman, pro-gun. I'm going to say right here, this right here is a victim-free zone. I will not be a victim. I will protect myself because that's what a real empowered woman does. A real woman does not sit and wait for someone else to come and save her from getting raped or mugged. And certainly a man doesn't need to be a victim just because some pussy pants wants to take away his guns. questions and I want you to be nice and loud, okay? Are you ready and willing to become a victim? Are you ready and willing to stand up for your basic natural right of self-defense?
Yeah!
And when they come for your guns, when they come to take away your very basic, most fundamental right of being a human being, what are you going to say?
Hell no!
Thank you.
I'm gonna say anything.
I'll give them back bullets first.
I will not comply.
That's what I like about the
Recognize her with
servicing
her
company.
hat on. That's Kelly.
They're one of the only
Are you
corporations
still
worldwide
involved with the
they're
Seattle
privately
Tea
held,
Party?
so they're not
Seattle
influenced by the
Patriots,
stock
Sons of
market.
Liberty? She's not even listening.
Yeah, well, you've heard
That's you. I'm used to that. Okay, our next speaker is. I love this guy too. We have so many good speakers.
10.8 billion debt free. Not owned by any bank, so no one can,
David Hetrick.
But people called him stupid.
David Hetrick had the guts to go stand up against his congressman
Two guys.
when we were having the health care debate. And he told Brian Baird in no uncertain terms he wasn't going to take his crap. Suddenly Brian Baird's not running again. That's interesting.
Free enterprise. Yeah.
That's right, he was a Marine too. I'm just trying to find his bio. I don't think I have it, David. But anyway, I can tell you, David's a Marine, and he ran for what district did you run? 3rd Congressional District. He would be an awesome congressman. Okay, now I got something for him. David William Hetrick is a Marine Corps veteran
If I had a
and a member of the Tea Party movement. He's widely known for his YouTube videos that have been seen and heard by tens of millions. Hetrick and his videos have appeared on Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, Mark Levin, MSNBC, and many others. Sorry. Hetrick and his book have also been featured in Time Magazine, The Wall Street Journal, and the Huffington Post. He is also a strong supporter and advocate for the right to keep and bear arms. David, come talk with us.
How far did you guys have to go?
And he's no longer my congressman. That would be a former congressman.
One of my upline guys.
I was thinking if, look at the backdrop here. If this was an Obama speech, we'd probably have like a whole line of kids standing up here behind us. And propaganda tools. On the way over, I heard it. There was a song came on the radio. It was an Alan Jackson song. Many of you probably heard this. It says, "I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran." And I was thinking about, CNN has Piers Morgan on it.
Piers needs to go home.
One of many things we agree on. I was thinking about that last part. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. And I was thinking, if you watch CNN, that's probably right. A lot of our local, the liberal papers all over the country, they like to see this movement as irrelevant. And our local Columbian down there in Clark County actually called a movement just like this, called us irrelevant. And I finally found, I did find a good use for papers just like that though. Recently my kids got we got them these beautiful blue birds. And they're some South American, gorgeous blue color. And I found that, it's very absorbent. And it's good to line the bottom of the cage there. And it doesn't matter if you read the paper before or after the birds get done with it, it's full of the same thing either way. Hold on, that's not true, that's not true. The birds aren't blue, they're green. We've had patriots standing up for this country since before we became a country. A man named George Washington in the French, he was fighting against the French, and he rode into battle, and he had a horse shot out from under him in that battle. Instead of accepting defeat, he got on another horse. That horse was shot out from under him in that battle. His coat was hit. And what did he do? Did he retreat? Did he leave? Did he leave the battlefield and leave his men? No. He went and he found another horse. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about some of my family. And I have an ancestor, one of my great-great-great-great-grandfathers, He fought under General George Washington. He was in the New Jersey Regiment in 76 and 77, and he was in the Pennsylvania Regiment in 78 to 83. And he fought in the Battle of Long Island, Princeton, Brandywine, Germantown, and I'm thinking about all the people that have sacrificed. And just going back to our history, and this is how we started. We started by showing up, taking the field like we're doing today, and being ready to do battle with the people that would take our guns. And, you know, we fled tyranny from all parts of the world. All of our ancestors, no matter when you came here, you know, you fled tyranny to come here for freedom. And those tyrants are trying to chase us down here. And our gun rights, you often hear in the media that our gun rights have to do with some sporting purpose. It has nothing to do with the sporting purpose. You know, our founding fathers, they knew what a sporting purpose was. A sporting purpose was a red coat at 200 yards moving into a 20-mile-an-hour crosswind.
That's right!
And that's what our Second Amendment defends. It's not up to a vote. It's not up to a decision of the majority. Our rights come from God, and they are subject to no vote at any time. You know, when I look at our history and I think that you see people here like this today, I had to hike in like 12 blocks away to get here. I've been here many times and I haven't seen a crowd that I had to walk that far to get to this place. And we stand up and we fight when it's time. And our history is a history of people standing up and knowing when it's time to fight. You know, the time to stand up against tyrants is not when you're on the train on the way to Auschwitz. The answer is to never get on that train in the first place. You know, and I want to, just let those out there know, I know some of the media is present today, that if anyone intends to take our guns, know this. We have fought for freedom on this continent before, and long before our knees bear the stain of American soil, we will do so again.
Yeah, I didn't have far to drive, just about 10 minutes down the road. So.
George Washington was an incredible man, and he was a great warrior, but he is not an incredible man because he got on the first horse, nor the second. He is an incredible man because he had the courage to mount that third. This is not the time to give up on this country. It's time to mount another horse. Thank you all. I'm David Hedger. God bless.
Thanks, David.
Cut you guys a break.
Hey, I've been asked to read a
shipping and
poem.
everything, but that's one thing.
This is in honor of the Marines, but I think it can go for any
even if I'm not eating great.
service person who has deployed.
They have some liquid ones for primarily the capital, but the nice thing about
And this is also a Christmas thing. I know Christmas is past, but you'll get the gist. Twas the night before Christmas. He lived all alone in a one-bedroom house made of plaster and stone. I had come down the chimney with presents to give, and to see just who in this home did live. As I looked all about, a strange sight did I see. No tinsel, no presents, not even a tree. No stocking by the fire, just boots filled with sand. On the wall hung a picture of a far distant land, with medals and badges, awards of all kinds. A sobering thought soon came to my mind, for this house was different, unlike any I'd seen. This was the home of a U.S. Marine. Stories about them, I had to see more, so I walked down the hall and pushed open the door. And there he lay sleeping, silent, alone, curled up on the floor of his one-bedroom home. He seemed so gentle, his face so serene. Not how I pictured a U.S. Marine. Was this the hero of whom I just read, curled up in his poncho, a floor for his bed? His head was clean-shaven, his face withered tan. I soon understood this was more than a man. For I realized the families that I saw that night owed their lives to these men and women who were willing to fight. Soon, around the nation, the children would play and grown-ups would celebrate on bright Christmas Day. They all enjoyed freedom each month and all year because of Marines like this one lying here. I couldn't help wondering how many lay alone on a cold Christmas Eve in a land far from home. Just the very thought brought a tear to my eye. I dropped to my knees and I started to cry. He must have awoken, for I heard a rough voice. Santa, don't cry. This is my choice. I fight for freedom. I don't ask for more. My life is my God, my country, my core. With that, he rolled over, drifted off into sleep. I couldn't control it. I continued to weep. I watched him for hours, so silent and still. I noticed he shivered from the cold night's chill. So I took off my jacket, the one made of red, and covered this Marine from his toes to his head. Then I put on his t-shirt of scarlet and gold with an eagle, globe, and anchor emblazoned so bold. And although it barely fit me, I began to swell with pride, and for one shining moment, I was Marine Corps deep inside. I didn't want to leave him so quiet in the night, this guardian of honor so willing to fight. But half asleep, he rolled over in a voice clean and pure and said, "Carry on, Santa, it's Christmas Day, all secure." One look at my watch and I knew he was right. Merry Christmas, my friend, Semper Fi, and good night. Our next speaker is an expert on gun rules and regulations and laws, and he's written several books. I actually have one, and it's the Washington State Gun Rights and Responsibilities for Washington State. I would recommend that you get that. You can go to D-A-N-D, so D-N-D, gunleather.com and order the book. And I ask that every responsible gun owner get that book so you know what the rules are in this state. And Dave is going to talk with us about stuff. Dave.
Thank you. Thank you. I came to welcome you to Olympia, and I brought some of my friends. I'm done.
I have no idea.
Is that camera going?
Yeah.
I don't want my name on a list. It's on too many lists already. So. I use the F word a lot.
That's okay.
Freedom. Firearms. Fantastic. We have a lot of people here today I've seen who are carrying firearms. You all are under arrest. So.
Come and try and take it. Come and get it.
I want you to know that I just came from the Puyallup Fairgrounds, where the Washington Arms Collectors is holding what appears to be the biggest gun show they've ever had. There are people lined up around the block outside to get in.
Yeah!
I asked a few, I went outside because I am a working member of the press. And I asked a few of them what they were doing there. And
this is awesome.
They said, you know, we came down, we're interested in firearms, we thought we'd sign up, we'll have a look inside, and they are being welcomed with open arms. It's just a phenomenal turnout down there. This is actually Gun Appreciation Day, and they appreciate guns, and so do us here, and so do I. I've never felt safer in my whole life. Did anybody here vote for Obama?
No!
Does anybody here have the stones to admit it? I was down at the SHOT Show until yesterday. I flew back from Las Vegas. Yes, I was down there working. The SHOT Show, the Shooting, Hunting, and Outdoor Trade Show, annual big trade. In fact, it's the biggest firearms trade show in the world right now. And you guys would have been confirmed in your beliefs if you'd have seen what happened Wednesday after Mr. Obama made his speech using children as props.
Yeah.
23 executive orders.
That's a worry more than
an
anything.
Agenda that calls for bans on assault weapons, whatever that is. They say they don't want us to have these guns, and I've got a news flash for them. We already have them. Sheriffs in, I believe, 11 states now have said they're not going to do this.
That's right. Because they couldn't do it anyway.
Support your local police. They want us to go through background checks.
Already did.
In order to prove that we're honest citizens to own firearms. How about a background check for anybody who wants to run for public office?
Yeah!
They want us to prove that we're not crazy. Well, there goes public office. I hear people screaming all the way in back there. And I can see people all the way out to the street. And I think we owe a lot of this to a guy that's standing right behind me, Jim Beal, front and center.
Yeah, Jim!
I've only known this guy for a couple of years, which is why he still has money in his bank account. Reporters are horribly paid. But this is a man who has come down here on a couple of occasions, always packing a firearm, so I stay close to him. Celebrities have to have their bodyguards, you know it.
Oh yeah,
and I think, what was this, about 7 or 8 days ago that you got involved in this, and this is the result. He's a mean man with a internet keyboard, and I'm proud to call him a friend of mine.
Where's Steve?
Travis Nugent, who,
you got him Travis up there.
Come on, Travis.
That too.
Probably out there stealing my car. But that's
I wanted to thank Travis Nugent for getting me involved and having the heads up to get the permit and get the ball rolling on this. Set up the kids' table and with all the balloons and prizes for kids and all of that. So I want to give a big shout to Travis.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for coming.
Well, thank you guys very much. This shows what grassroots is all about. I'm the communications director also for the Citizens Committee. We're based up in Bellevue, and we're kind of the grassroots arm of the gun rights movement. This is grassroots. This is where it all begins, right here.
This is where it ends, too.
You guys outrank everybody in that building, and don't let them forget it.
Yeah.
It's important that they remember this, and it's important that you contact them at least once a week. Get a hold of your 2 senators in Washington, the other Washington. Let them know that you're watching, even though they probably don't care. Let them know anyway. If you don't know who your member of Congress is, find out. Contact them. Let them know you're watching. Because nobody is going to take your guns as long as you say no. And the best way to do that is to let your elected representatives know that you're watching. Because you know what? 2 years from now, they got to run for re-election again. And we always try to let them know in advance that firearms owners may have short fuses, but they got long memories.
They might get them, but it'll be hot and empty when they do.
Well, I'm going to get out of here because actually I have to go back to Puyallup because I'm working up there too. And I'll just tell them that what I saw here makes me proud. I'm the 4th generation of my family in this state. My son up there is the 5th. Children matter. Introduce them to firearm safety at an early age. Bring them next year to this event. And don't ever let them get the idea that the government controls what they do. It's the other way around. That's the way the Constitution, that's what it's all about. Take good care of yourselves, always.
Now remember, if you haven't got that Rights and Responsibilities and Laws of Washington, DANDgunleather.com. It's a great book. I think every responsible
DANDgunleather.com.
Our next speaker is a graduate of Gonzaga University School of Law.
Washington State.
Mr. Knapp is a member of the NRA, Second Amendment Foundation, Paul Bunyan Shooting Club in Puyallup, and the Washington Arms Collectors. He teaches classes on laws of armed self-defense, including presenting legal instruction for NRA personnel protection in the home classes. Mr. Knapp is a founder and past president of the Armed Defense Training Association in Federal Way. He also shoots in the IPSC USPSA.
Yeah!
And he recently started shooting multi-gun competition. He's also involved in a new national organization of lawyers, the Second Amendment Bar Association, just being formed. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that. Mr. Mark Knapp.
Go, Mark!
I have to remind you all that the American Revolution started when the British came and tried to disarm that colonial, the original colonists back in 1776. And
Actually, 17.
let's see here. Okay, I'll get that. Hold it. It's not squeaking anymore, so. Yeah, the American Revolution started when they tried to disarm Americans. Remember that? The British tried to disarm Americans? And
1775.
we said, no, it's not going to happen. And, you know, listening to the pastor from Iran earlier, it reminded me of back when I was 21 years old, when I really began to really appreciate what the United States is about and what our U.S. Constitution is about. You know, when I was 21 years of age, I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior. And, you know, we heard a few minutes ago about these interfaith folks that have their own ideas about what America's all about. Maybe they ought to just start reading the Bible, because if you read the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, when they went back to, the Jewish people went back to rebuild the temple, the emperor offered to give them armed security, and they said, no. Ezra said, it glorifies our God to be able to protect ourselves. And if you remember, they ended up working with a weapon in one hand and a tool in the other when they rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. So some of those interfaith leaders ought to pay attention to what the Bible actually says. You can find self-defense all through the Old and New Testaments.
As long as you wax it and polish it now and then, you're okay.
I prepared a few comments here, just kind of a roadmap of some of the things that I think we ought to consider as far as how to move forward. Washington State's Constitution and the laws of our state strongly recognize self-defense and defense of others. Exercising our right to bear arms is the only way to hold on to our rights. The facts on the ground are really important. If you read the case law that these different appellate courts have written, like the United States Supreme Court, and a lot of these other cases, you know, that are establishing a whole body of constitutional law about the Second Amendment, the decisions focus on facts on the ground. Like, just to give you an example, it's a fact that Americans prefer pistols, and that's one of the reasons that our enemies that hate the Second Amendment aren't going against pistols, because the courts already articulated that pistols are something that most Americans have. Just so you know what I mean by facts on the ground, you know, I look around here, I see facts on the ground. I see weapons. I see people wearing rifles on their shoulders. Those are the kinds of facts on the ground that the courts recognize. And right now we're witnessing how even with good laws, our rights are being threatened. So the greatest protection that exists is not the courts, Congress, or the legislatures, even though we've won so many legislative battles thanks to groups like the Second Amendment Foundation. Our real strength is in all of you, the gun owners all over the United States, all the training programs, all the guns in the hands of private citizens. Every time a new gun owner gets out to the range, we're establishing facts on the ground. You can see facts on the ground every week, and when people go out and compete in IPSC and in IDPA and in steel target shooting and all the other competitive events that I know a lot of us participate in. I see a lot of people that I know from competition right here, like Scott and some of the others. So those are all facts that strengthen our case for the Second Amendment. Those are facts that are going to be recited by lawyers when they go into court and represent us at the highest levels. So how can we move forward? I just came up with a couple brief points. This is not inclusive by any means, but first of all, we need to protect shooting ranges from nuisance lawsuits. Without shooting ranges, there isn't going to be any place to go out and shoot. And you see all kinds of environmental complaints being brought up and just really frivolous litigation being brought up against gun ranges, and we've seen that happen even here locally just in the recent past. So we need to pass laws that protect volunteer instructors from lawsuits, especially firearms instructors, but you also have first aid instructors and all kinds of other instructors that are volunteers. That, you know, that's another aspect of life in America that really all the observers have noted, you know, over hundreds of years, that the amount of volunteerism in the United States is just beyond anything that you see in Europe. De Tocqueville, he wrote a whole book about how America is so much different than Europe, and volunteerism is one of the things he talked about. So we need to protect homeowners and other gun owners from civil liability when we exercise our right to defend ourselves and our loved ones in our homes that we've got here, and political representatives. So, preemption statute. Washington's got one of the best firearms preemption statutes. It's more all-encompassing and absolute than probably any other state firearms preemption statute, but a lot of local governments, municipalities, they violate it all the time. They have laws on the books that violate firearms preemption. Another important point on a legislative agenda, or a priority on the agenda, ought to be to clarify the brandishing statute, the statute that talks about it displaying with the intent to intimidate. Well, that statute, as a lot of you know, especially the open carry folks that are here, know that there's this ambiguous language in there that talks about conduct that warrants alarm for the safety of others. Well, that phrase, warrants alarm for the safety of others, is such that just about anybody that's wearing a gun or carrying a gun could be arrested, and we need to overhaul that statute. And then one further priority in the legislative agenda
Yeah, it's
is
Israeli.
that Washington State needs to recognize concealed pistol licenses from other states. We already do that to some extent, but we're actually behind a lot of other states as far as the number of concealed pistol licenses that we recognize. And along the same lines, every state, all the states ought to be working towards universal reciprocity. It seems to be that there's a trend that way, and it's a good trend.
Well, he was over there. He's walking around. Yeah, there's an M1 over there. I saw it.
Encouraging that.
Which one, the Garand or the
all you legislators out there.
There's an M1A1
on behalf of more reciprocity.
And there's another guy walking around. He's got a Barrett on his back.
The constitutional case law discusses militarily useful weapons. That goes all the way back to the Miller.
It's in a backpack, or I should say a carry pack designed for it.
Somehow the NRA and some of these other groups ought to be compromising, especially now that we've made so many advances in constitutional law.
I was going to bring my Saiga.
Well, the big compromise was back in 1932 when they passed this National Firearms Act, and the federal government first started sticking its nose into state law enforcement type business. That's the case that talked about militarily useful weapons. It was about a sawed-off shotgun, and I think we're going to see that concept. I hope we're going to see that concept come up more and more in the case law, because the concept of militarily useful weapons is the antidote to this idea that we have our ARs and our pistols and our high capacity mags for sporting purposes, or that we ought to have them for sporting purposes.
Yeah, but under their stipulation, anything that has one type of military characteristic falls under everything, because at one point in time, everything was used for the military.
1022 was used by Israeli Defense Forces for riot control.
The courts are also going to look at what most gun owners favor in determining what is reasonable. Well, according to everything that I've been reading, there's 3 to 4 million people that have ARs. I know a lot of us have 2 or 3 of them. I know people that have bought 1 or 2 for themselves, and they bought 1 for their wife, and they bought 1 for each one of their daughters, and maybe several for their sons as well. You know that's a good thing. The AR has become really the weapon of choice for a lot of American families, because it's easy to train with it. It's very good for self-defense. It's good for sporting purposes. ARs don't have a lot of recoil and are lightweight, so it's good for teaching a person that's small of stature. It's just an all-around good way to train. So the enemies of the Second Amendment know that the Supreme Court recognizes pistols already, because there's been a lot already written by the Supreme Court about that. So that's why they want to focus on ARs, because the truth is they want to take away our guns. They hate the Second Amendment. They want to take away our right to self-defense, and they want to make it so that the government has a monopoly on deadly force. That's the truth of what's happening. In fact, if the truth be known, they want the government to control everything. They want the government to control our children. They want the government to control our education. They want the government to control every aspect of our lives. And that's why they want to outlaw tactical rifles. The ARs are militarily useful. They're popular. And the bottom line is we need to continue demonstrating how American gun owners are responsible and committed to all kinds of shooting activities. In Federal Way, we formed a group that promotes shoot-on-the-move events and gun safety and training for new shooters. This week, the Armed Defense Training Association had several people that had never shot before that got out at the new Federal Way indoor range and did some shooting. And every time you introduce a new shooter, you're advancing the Second Amendment. So let's use our influence to insist on empowering some armed volunteers in the schools, including teachers and others, to protect kids in the schools. Every activity like that where you see volunteerism or other shooting activities makes America strong, and we need to keep creating facts on the ground that will confirm and reinforce all the success we've already had.
Thank you. Are you guys cold?
No!
Or you know what? This just proves that you guys aren't sunshine patriots. You're here out in the cold weather, and I know it's not, you know, below zero, but it's still kind of cold.
I'd still be here.
We've got a couple more speakers, and then we're going to let you go. We're going to end with a sing-along, if you want to sing with me. Our next speaker is Jeff Coder. He's a Vietnam veteran. He was airborne. Go Airborne.
Airborne.
And he's the president of Sons of Liberty Riders. They ride around and come to your parades and do all sorts of neat things. So, Jeff, you want to come up here and talk a little bit?
How many patriots we got here today? Any liberals? I hope not. I heard they taste like chicken. Yeah. I have good news and I have bad news. Okay? Well, it's not really bad news, but those are the big. Bad news is the Second Amendment does not give us the right to keep and bear arms. According to the founders, the right to keep and bear arms comes with us into this world, courtesy of nature's God. They called the rights listed in the 10 Amendments unalienable rights, including the right of self-defense, and they specifically announced that bearing arms was included. So the founders wrote into the Constitution by 10 amendments some, but not all of our unalienable rights, and that means the Constitution does not give us those rights, it affirms them. It acknowledges that the people speaking through their several sovereign states in compact created the document to serve the purposes held by the common states. The federal government did not sign that Constitution because it did not exist at the time that the states signed it as their compact between equally sovereign states. Okay? That's very interesting. The Constitution, therefore, is to protect those rights for every citizen. That is what it was created to do, and that is what it is supposed to do. It does not give us rights, it is to ensure that those rights are protected. So, it's a trick question. The Constitution does not give us the right. That right is from a higher source than a mere man-made government. Maybe this is why the government wants God out of the picture. Yeah, that kind of makes me wonder.
Preach it!
It is unalienable. That means that the government is not authorized to take our rights, including the rights listed in the Second Amendment. The difference between, now here's, you gotta be careful because, you know, they try to mess with the words here, okay? You got unalienable rights, and then they say inalienable, okay? Unalienable, you know, they change the enunciation, and unalienable, okay? If it's inalienable, that is situational. Like, for example, you know, you're in court and you say, well, this evidence is inadmissible versus unadmissible, okay? Big difference there. So don't get fooled by that stuff. Our right to keep and bear arms is beyond question by any agency or branch of the federal government. That is exactly why the federal government is having a hissy fit over the swelling state sovereignty movement and the nullification movement. They're scared.
Witless.
Feces-less.
Witless.
And it should be.
Our states recall that they own the federal government, and the cat is out of the bag. Okay, or the cat is out of the federal bag, and when the people will once again own and enjoy their beloved America when the states take it back.
That's right.
So, in closing here, Samuel Adams, one of my favorite founding fathers. You know, he's the guy that formed the Sons of Liberty. And being as I'm the Sons of Liberty writer, we're kind of like the Committee of Safety on motorcycles. Okay, used to be the Tea Party on motorcycles, but then that didn't work too well. You know, the political thing. We're past politics now, man. It's all, you know, like Clint Indier said, it's prepping, man. You got to get ready. Here it is. Samuel Adams wrote this speech and read it to his fellow countrymen on August 1st, 1776. Just about a month after the Declaration of Independence was signed. It was a very pointed speech, and it's short and sweet, and as I said, it gets right to the point. The speech was written as a message to those who didn't have the intestinal fortitude to stand up for their God-given rights. It was also a message to those Tories who supported the British and the yoke of tyranny imposed by the king. In present-day context, this message would be for those on the other side who favor more gun control laws and incremental tyranny, and hey, maybe folks in the media, you know, you guys are implicit in this, you know. Pay attention, this is for you. If you love wealth more than liberty, if you love the tranquility of servitude more than the animating contest of freedom, go home for months in peace. We ask not your counsel nor your arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. And may your chains set lightly upon you, and make posterity forget you were our countrymen. So, that's it. And we're Sons of Liberty Riders. Check us out on the net, sonsoflibertywriters.com. Nolan Labe.
That's right.
I love Sam Adams. Not the beer, the founder. I like John too, but you know, I like Sam better. Our next and last speaker is a graduate. No, that's the wrong one. They told me it was up here. Rob Apgood is going to come speak with us. Here we go. Sorry about that. Rob Apgood focuses his practice on individual rights issues in both the civil and criminal arenas, frequently consulting to other attorneys in technology-related cases. Having been providing representation to companies and individuals in constitutional rights issues since the mid-1990s, Rob frequently represents clients in First Amendment-related and Second Amendment-related matters. Rob has represented hundreds of defendants both domestically and abroad in federal cases, and most recently defeated claims made by the FTC against content producers where the FTC tried to impose liability on those producers for CAN spam violations by affiliates. Rob is a frequent speaker at state and federal bar association conferences and spends much of those efforts on educating the judiciary, which is needed, on the issues facing defendants who have been targeted by governmental and quasi-governmental entities. Rob is an active member of the First Amendment Lawyers Association and the Second Amendment Lawyers Association. Rob Apgood.
Wow. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out today, and it's so cold, and everybody's getting cold, including my toes. But nevertheless, it was really great of you to come out and this. They're out doing things like hanging drywall, building homes for homeless people, and sending food gifts to people, which means they're not working on destroying my Constitution and my Bill of Rights. I took some time to read President Obama's 23 executive orders. They're nice aspirations. Many of them really don't mean anything at all. But I was alarmed by something. And what I was alarmed by was, oh yes, the last one. Item number 23, Executive Order 23. Launch a national dialogue led by Secretaries Sebelius and Duncan on mental health. That's the problem we have in the nation today. Why is it at the bottom of his list?
There you go.
I don't know. And I'm not sure anybody out there does, but I know that it alarms me because that should be at the top of the list.
And then you can plug your representatives like I did. So I would strongly suggest that you get on that, or you can go to the Washington Legislature, let's see, leg.wa.gov, and you can look and see, you know, what you want to write them and bug them about, because I do it all the time. So, so with that, thank you all for coming. We want to thank all the people who braved this cold weather and braving frostbite on your toes and your nose, and all the people who put this up and all the great signs. I am so encouraged by all you guys being here, because truly I was getting pretty discouraged and we were making plans to get out of here and go to Texas. But if I know that you guys all have our backs, I might stay. Sing with me. I know it's an old song, but it's a good one. If tomorrow all the things I worked for all my life, and I had to start again at the beginning of my life, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
What? Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. think, young man? I was kind of hoping more people would have turned out, but over 2,000 people, that's pretty good.
It's grateful for the ones that did.
Yeah.
Yes, I share your sentiment on that. But it's a start. It's a start.
Yeah. It's only the beginning. My batteries died on me. I had to change them out. Apparently they don't last for recording over an hour and a half.
It's cold.
I was just sitting there walking around like this, and I looked at the screen, and it was black. And I was like, oh, okay. Somebody just took off. What? Where are we going? Okay. Oh, here we go.
get up, you get pictures? I'll throw them off. Come on, everybody up there. Right, Phillies, let's go. Get up there.
We're getting, oh, I see. And over here we have the Temple of Justice. And over here we have the Legislative Building. What's that? I'm sorry.
What calibers are
308. Yeah, it's an FAN. FNFAL Israeli battle rifle.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Love the Harleys. It's open. You think they let us in like this? See the Legislative Building.
Trying to get somebody to come in.
A couple of them have already walked in.
Really? Not getting me to take my pistol in there.
I'm not walking those stairs.
No, I'm not going in the government building. No, I'm not going in the Capitol building with my weapons.
A couple of guys from the 63rd walked in there.
Yeah. Hey, there's no signage.
It says open.
Well, that's probably what they did. Nobody show up for work today.
Yeah.
Well, we went to Boise, we walk right in here. There's nobody there.
The dude over there's got a Barrett.
We're taking recon right now. We're taking pictures of.
Yeah. Did you see the dude with the Barrett on his back?
The what?
Dude's got a 50 cal. Yeah, he's over there right now. He's walking through the farm.
Well, there's a few people we should have given cards to. Yeah, next time I gotta get some cards printed out. Is that a 91?
No, it's a FN.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Israeli heavy barrel.
How's he shoot?
Straight.
That's
very accurate. Yeah, it shoots really nice.
Fires every time.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll eat any 308 round I put in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Just thought I'd ask. Have a nice day.
Yep, you too. Yeah, I'm not going in there. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Out of the 2,000 plus that showed up for the supporting the guns, this is the one and only person that showed up for the anti-gun protest. One person. Gotta love it.